very late to this party. About 5 years late. Let me explain. Now, the reason I'm late to this party is that this radio is ancient. This radio is over 5 years old now. It was released in March 2017. But, you know, there's been such massive advances in DMR since then. About a week ago, I got matey here out of a box, and I guess you probably want to see that, don't you? Don't worry, I've been quick. Right, there's no funny business here. Everything is bought and paid for. Couldn't have timed that better. This is my second one, which I'll explain later on. We've got some marks here by Ailunce just to tell us all about it. A few free Scrabble tiles on the side. But that's not what you're here for. You're here for this. Comes with a little manual which you may or may not read. It's in sort of vague English. It's followable. That's all I'm going to say on that. Comes with a programming cable. Always an absolute win. And this is a Motorola type. A battery. That's not very interesting. It's a lithium-ion one. And a little charging base there. Ooh, this thing does feel quite heavy in the hand actually. And you can see this one is definitely all brand new and wrapped up in plastic. One of the belt clips I was throwing, landfill, and a little antenna which everyone says is 66 ohms. It's not, it's definitely 50, I've tested it. It's quite unremarkable. And a mains plug which will be seasoned to the flavour of your country. The goal of this channel is not for me to read the spec sheet at you and actually show you what the radio's like to live with, but here's the main headlines. The important bits are it's dual VFO, you've got 3,000 channels on here, which is quite remarkable, and you can bring along 200,000 of your best friends. Okay, the battery, just to cover that off very quickly, yes, it does exactly what it delivers, but it does take a long time to charge, and there's no USB-C on this. It weighs 368 grams, which makes it quite a hefty lump. So the question I know you're dying to have answered is, who are these Ailunce chaps? Well, it's Retevis. And if you go to their website, you've only got until the 31st of August to take advantage of this radio's birthday sale. The 31st. And that isn't the only amusing thing I found on their website. Sorry for a diversion already. But did you know Retevis is actually a portmanteau? Oh yes, it's a portmanteau of redefining telecommunications vision. Guess. Go on, guess. You got 5 seconds. Redefining telecommunications vision, signpost. Signpost. Let's move on or we're going to get stuck. You thought I was going to go all stats and serious on you then, didn't you? Well, whilst I'm doing the sums from my power test, I thought I'd throw it in the shower. Ailunce claim that this radio has IP67 construction, and this channel is not called Robust Reviews for nothing. So I thought after its long journey over from China, it might like a nice long shower. The shower was where me and this thing had our first falling out, but we'll get back to that. Right, the graph. Power versus frequency, because that's the sort of thing people like. So, the graph. Firstly, on 2 meters VHF. No bullshit here on my meter. My meter. This thing delivers exactly what it promises. I am not going to argue with a single result here. Really, really happy. Moving on to UHF, it's a slightly different story. It advertises 8 watts and yeah, by and large it manages, although it does fall off a cliff right as you get to the top of the band. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing because we only use a little bit of it. So if you look, there is a nice little curve there around the G-spot. And I've been told a nice little curve that just hits a G-spot is exactly what everyone's after. So I hear anyway. Right, let's get back to this thing in the shower and why we had a falling out. You can be much longer in there. Oh, come on, my eyeballs are floating. Get on with it. Really need a wee.
Now I just go to another room because I'm stuck up in the room while I'm talking to it. It's going to be interesting, one, to know what radio sounds like when it's submerged, and two, if it survives or not. Now if it does survive, what I'm planning to do is weigh it again after it's dried out for a bit, and obviously if it's put on weight, something's gone very, very wrong. Well, I'm going to go back to it now and hook it back out, but yeah, mystery solved. What does radio sound like underwater?
I was pretty fucking wang chung over that, I can tell you. Oh, just while we're on a more serious point here, this isn't a marine radio. This isn't an ATEX radio. Please, if you need something for marine or ATEX use, it's not this. Buy something with a proper search from a recognised manufacturer, not what some helmet on the internet's telling you might be waterproof, all right? Serious bit over. Let's put the oven on. Yeah, straight up, let's put the oven on. Now hang up a minute, you're saying, why am I about to put this radio in the oven? Well, I know the Safely Eject Hardware Brigade out there will go, oh, let's keep my radio nice and safe in a little pouch and I never use it. For those of us that make mistakes and can be a bit clutter-fucked, a hot car on a hot day is the sort of place you're going to leave a radio, and 60 Celsius isn't out the question. And as you'll find out in a minute, also leaving a radio outside in the cold, when this got frozen. But before we do that, and while the oven's warming up, let's just take a very, 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 very quick look at the software, all right? I hate talking about software. You used software before, and this is very much like every other bit of radio software that you've ever used. But we'll take a quick look at it anyway while the oven's heating up. Something else just to bear in mind with this radio, the little anti-dampness flap has a screw which is designed to not accept a coin. So you will need a screwdriver to remove that. Luckily the cable does have a little thumb screw on it so you can connect it. Connect it up, find your COM port. I've got COM69 set here because it's easy to remember. The software is pretty easy and intuitive to use. There's no nasties here and it's very, very easy to find. I won't need to go into how to find it and install it. You're all grown-ups and you should use the internet and computers a bit by now anyway. Right, so I suppose it's time to tell them about when you ended up in the oven and the freezer. Let's see what happened. So I decided to give it a bit of a sauna at 60 Celsius just to see how it would cope. There it is, sitting there all nice and snug and warm like. And yeah, it did get to about 60 Celsius, as you can see here, give or take, and these IR thermometers are crap anyway, leaving it out onto the cooling rack like you do with your radio. Now, just a word on front panel programming, because I know people like to talk about that. Do you ever get bored and want to slam your dick in the oven? Probably not, and that's how it is on this radio. It is painful. I'm not going to go into it. If you need to do it, you'll only do it under duress. Right, into the freezer, put a little meat blanket onto it and leave it in the freezer for 4 hours. Out it came, with its meat blanket detached now. Frosty cold, and you can see here it got to about -13, I believe. So really, really cold, and it survived. It did fine. I think this is quite cute, and it's a trivial thing, but you can put your own bitmap image on here. So if society goes fully Fred, so I'll be able to look at this picture of Belinda Carlisle 3 seconds at a time. Okay, we can't all be positive here, and there is something that will absolutely ball your piss about this handset. Let me explain. Like today, I'm on a day off. Not at work, it's lovely. Bit bored though, so I think, I know what I'll do. I'll reach out and touch someone. She's gone to work, so the next best thing I can do is perhaps have a natter with someone on the local DMR repeater. Now that's only about 2 miles from my front door, but this house hates radio, so I do struggle a bit to get into places. And this is where this radio has an infuriating bug. Several people have pointed this out, and trust me, it's going to make you piss steam if you get one. Watch this. Oh, I'm having a lovely morning. I wonder if I can get into my local DMR repeater. I'm in such an overjoyed state, almost of tumescence. I can't wait to have an exchange with somebody on my local repeater. I wonder what today's radio adventure will hold. 2E0, wire. That is taking the piss. That is really infuriating, trust me, because it just gives you a few seconds and then it does that. Only a small thing, but several people have pointed out this bug, and I think after nearly 6 years, perhaps that's something that could have been ironed out, because apparently the other DMR handsets report instantly if they can get into the repeater or not, but not this one. There's a good 2 seconds there. All right, happier times when I did manage to speak to somebody. Facts about East Anglia. 1. We don't do hills. Hills are quite a remarkable thing around these parts, so much so Suffolk, just over the border there, has even named one of its classy little picturesque market towns after one. Anyway, welcome to Limekiln Hill, just outside of Cambridge in a lovely little village called Cherry Hinton. Yep, it's really called that. Right, first test. I've got this set on DMR. I'm just outside of Cambridge now. I've got it set on the power. I'm going to see what happens. 2E0YOS. That proof. Square root of fuck all, didn't it? 2E0YOS. Is this working on the parrot? 2E0YOS. Not successful. Okay, let's try something else. Right, let's see what happens. We're going to try this on FM. Put a call out, see if anyone will come back to me. Promising. It should be, it's only 5 miles away. E0.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
And they say this hobby's dead. It's a strange hobby. 2E0YOS, listening for any calls.
2E0YOS, Mike 0, Kilo Zulu Tango, good evening.
2E0YOS, thank you very much for coming back to me there. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem this way, sir. It's M0KZT. Name is Lee. Lima Echo India Golf Hotel. Lee with a G. From Peterborough. How you doing, Tina?
2E0YOS, thank you very much for coming back to me, Lee. The name here is Ben Bravo Echo November. I'm standing in Cambridge at the moment, just outside it in Cherry Hinton. I don't know if you know it, but there's a nice lay-by here, right up in the gods, up nice and high. I'm looking down over sort of towards Addenbrooks at the moment. Bad day for the posh, I hear. Back to you, 2E0YOS.
No, I'm not a posh fan. Coventry City for me, and we got a 1-1 draw, so not too bad. Hope you're having a wonderful evening over there, and just heard your call and I thought I'll return to you. I've just been flicking around on 20 metres. It's a bit noisy this evening, but not too bad at all. What did you say your YouTube channel was? KZT returning. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep my eyes out. I'll subscribe to your channel. I've also got a YouTube channel, but you probably wouldn't be that interested in that one. It's all me messing around outdoors in the wild, camping and fires and having a few beers and things like that. So, anyway, I shall shoot and leave you to it because...
2E0YOS, thank you very much for coming back to me. 73s to you and have a good afternoon. Cheers, 2E0YOS. So that was entirely my fault. I had got the radio set on the wrong
time slot,
and life is too short to try and program it in the field. So the next day I went out and skulked around in some hedges early in the morning like some sort of weird sex man with a weird walk, which I'll explain. Okay, so yesterday it wasn't a success, I grant you. It was my fault. Like I said, programming these things is like slamming your penis in the oven door. So it's Sunday morning here. I'm about another 5-6 miles south of where I was yesterday, which puts us a bit further away from the repeater. I've got a good feeling it's going to work, but not only am I upset because it's the 8:20 on a Sunday morning and I'm out and about already, I'm also upset because just behind the camera there's a puddle that's about a foot deep. I've just trodden in with both feet because it's the UK in the middle of August. So if I look like I'm in discomfort, I am, because I've got 2 soaking wet feet. Anyway, let's see if we can hit Madingley repeater, which is over there now. I'm guessing probably getting on for about 15 miles. Let's see what happens. Okay, after yesterday's complete and utter cock-up, I'm going to try the parrot again. Okay, I'm hoping I've put it on the right talk group this time. 2E0YOS. Right, that's a good sign. Let's see if we can make a local contact. I'm not hopeful. That Maddenly digital repeater does seem really quiet when you look it up on Brandmeister, but we'll try anyway. And we wait. And we wait. If not, the backup plan is that I'll go back and do some simplex testing, because that ain't a complete pain in the arse to do on your own. Now what it did there, it came up and said contact information not known, so I don't know what that means. Well, it's been a tough week, hasn't it, for you? But I suppose you better check if it still works. 2E0YOS CQ on GB3Z at CQ 2E0YOS. It works absolutely fine. This thing has done remarkably well, and in part 2 we'll be taking a bit more of a look at actually using it. But I need some time with it first. The idea of this is not just to do reviews where I get it out of the box sent to me from a Chinese manufacturer, open it, read the spec sheet to you. I actually want to use these things and find out what they'd really like to live with. So that'll be up in a few weeks. But just as we're coming to the end, we've got one more test to do. Big Jim, it's good time, Susan Sarandon. 1-9 for a copy, and can I meet you in 5 minutes down at the shitty garages? Oh Lord, he's coming.
Oh Lord, he's coming.
I've got to be honest, I'm not quite so convinced this is a good idea all of a sudden. We'll see. Help! Jim, this may be the most stupid thing I think I've ever done, but could you try and break that? That's an amateur radio. That's different to what you're used to. If you're still watching, thank you very, very much for surviving all the way to the bitter end. It's been quite a week for this thing. We've still got part 2 to go yet, and I promise you I'll do more of the actual what it's like to use stuff. I'm only ever going to ask you this once, I promise, but if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot. This is only video number 1, and I've got loads and loads of stuff planned. I promise you we've got some really fun stuff coming up. So keep watching. I hope you tune in again to see. I hope you tune in again. Fucking hell. I hope you watch me again one day. That would be really, really cool if you could. And the other thing is, I'm on the bones of my arse. I don't want to do the Patreon thing, and I certainly don't want to have to go down the road of begging manufacturers to send me stuff. So if you fancy one of these, there's a link below. I get a few quid out of it. I think it's 2 or 3 quid. I'll be open. So if you do fancy one, there's also a link if you do just want to buy me a pint because you've had a laugh. But that's all I'm ever going to ask of you. I'm never going to accept sponsorships for radios. Saying that, they might see this and decide they don't want to send me any anyway. And I don't want to go down the Patreon route because that's like the begging bowl. But if you do fancy one, link below, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.